Okay, I've been seriously procrastinating over doing this video and I'm just having one of those days. It's just time of the month, can't be arseness, but then I straightened my hair. I'm going to show up, we're going to put our big girl pants on and we're here. We're going to go for it. So in today's video, thank you so much for checking it out. We are going to be talking all about my little experiment that I did where I cut out sugar for just 5 days, and the changes that I experienced were a really big eye-opener for me, especially the final one that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So if you're anything like me and you love a little bit of sweetness in your life, then you may want to check out this video on my own experience and how I'm going to use this moving forward. If you are not already subscribed, please do go and hit the subscribe button. It massively helps me out. Press on the notification bells and of course give this a thumbs up. And if you do enjoy it, consider sharing it with your friends also, because it does massively help me to grow my channel. So let's get into it. I am a self-confessed sugar addict. Sweeties are my go-to. I simply must have a dessert after meals and I just love sweets. Like, I love the sweet sugary stuff. I'm a health coach. I've been working in the health and fitness industry for over 15 years. I've done lots of studying into nutrition. I know fine well that sugar is bad for me. However, I still love it and I still want it in my life. So when I come to the thought of having to cut out sugar, there is always this balance of like, I really don't want it because I really like eating it. However, I got to the point where I was feeling constantly bloated. I'd been struggling to lose weight, although I've kind of moved away from this big focus on weight loss. But even when I cleaned up my diet a little bit, I was still finding it hard to lose weight. I'd noticed I was getting massive dips in energy, especially towards the end of the afternoon. I was getting to points when I would have something sugary and then within hours afterwards I get that dip in insulin to where I'm like shaky, hangry, like needed something to eat, and was constantly eating, constantly feeling hungry, constantly feeling bloated yet lethargic. I just wasn't feeling in a great place, and I'm a type of person who naturally holds weight around my belly. This is also linked to people who have issues with insulin sensitivity. So all of these were giving like kind of markers that maybe there's some stuff that's going on that I should just maybe take a little bit of a check in on. And that's when I used this 5-day no added sugar challenge, and we did it as part of my online Better Body coaching group on the 6-week Fit for Summer challenge. I fully embraced this and I was excited for it. I was excited to have a little bit of a break. So let's just go in with a little bit of a disclaimer of where I'm started. So as I explained, I am a health and mindset coach, so I already eat generally a pretty healthy diet. So like my main meals are all home prepared. I don't eat processed foods in terms of like for my main meals. Yes, I might have some crisps or some sweets. I definitely still drink alcohol and all of the things that we want, but I'm a big promoter of always having balance within our lives. However, when it gets to the point where health markers or indications start to show up, this is something that we get to have some awareness around and maybe start to question, is what we're practicing ultimately helping us to feel our best selves? And that's ultimately what I want to feel in. I want to feel good within my body. I still want to have some of the things that I want, but when I'm getting to the place where I'm feeling a bit crappy, that's where things have to change. Now, I called this a no added sugar challenge because I didn't take out fruit. Sometimes when you look at sugar detox programs, they can take out fruit and absolutely everything. For me, the main crutch I had is, like I just said, my main meals were healthy. I eat fresh, homemade foods for my breakfast, for my lunch, for my evening meals on a general basis, i.e. being 80% of the time. Like most people, I like to enjoy my life. I like to eat out at the weekends. I like to have a little bit of a drink. So this was looking at the 5 days, Monday to Friday. I was going for no added sugar. I was going to stick with my basic 3 meals. I was going to shift my snacking, which has been my main problem, from anything sugary, sweets, added sugar, chocolate, things like that. All of that were going to go out. I wasn't cutting out snacking completely, shifting the focus from being simple carbs, i.e. sweets, sugar bound things, and looking for alternative snacks if I indeed was snacking at all, which I'm going to talk about later because my eating habits definitely shifted throughout this challenge. So I just wanted to give you that base that I wasn't going from eating a terrible diet to cutting out all of sugar. Of course, if you were doing that, you would get much more of a dramatic effect, I would imagine. Some of the changes that happened were very subtle. I didn't have any like detox headache. I didn't experience any of that. But what did happen on the flip side, really interesting, bit of an eye-opener really to some of the subtle changes that we may not be totally aware of the effects that sugar has on our body. We have become a society where our eating habits and behaviors have changed monumentally to the point where there is so much added sugar in our foods. We are eating more sugar than ever before, and it's leading to an epidemic of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, all of which are skyrocketing right now. So it's all a good indicator that maybe we need to have that little bit of a check-in with what is in our diet and how much it is affecting us. Your base recommendation for sugar is no more than 100 calories per day. That's about 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar for women, and then no more than 150 calories for men. That's about 9 teaspoons or 36 grams of sugar. So when I was looking at this in comparison to like one of my favorite sweets, you know, those like chewy Malwams, like I love them. I love them. So one chewy Malwam it's got 6 grams of sugar in it. So as someone whose target is no more than 24 grams, so a Malwam would have 6 grams of sugar. That would mean that just 4 Malwams would take me over my daily sugar target for the day. And that is not having sugars in any other food. I think I would eat more than 4 Malwams if I was going to dive into a packet. And so this was, again, a real big ding, 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 ding. You're probably eating too much sugar. With keeping that in mind, it's a good one for you to check in with. I was doing this experiment with my Online Better Body crew, and we looked at the content of a bowl of cereal. If you go and check the label on your cereal packet, you'll see that there's a recommendation, and it's usually a recommendation for like a 30-gram portion. I dare you to go and measure out actually 30 grams of cereal, because I bet you anything you are eating more than a 30-gram portion. I poured it out and it was like just like few little bits in the bottom of the bowl. I'm like, who eats a portion that size? Like nobody. Even my kids would have like 2 to 3 times that, and that is already taking you over your daily sugar intake. And this is a real wake-up call to the recommendations versus how much we're consuming. If you were to have a can of pop or anything like that, we're going to be taking ourselves massively over. So here's what I did. As my aim with most things is to keep it simple, because simplicity is the key to success. As soon as you start making things too hard, too big, too overwhelming, you're going to not want to do it. You're going to make it too complicated. All I simply did was stuck with my main meals. As I've mentioned, they were generally healthy. I was focused on having no added sugar. So this means I was having no sugary in between meal snacks. I would often want to go to sugar after my meal, so I switched these out. I did make some of my favorite chocolate bombs, which actually I'll put a link to a video as I did as a little short last week. Chocolate bombs are the savior. Sugar-free chocolate. We all want a bit of that, right? And I'll link down below to the recipe if you want to check that out. They were my savior. And then after meals, I was actually finding towards the end that I wasn't craving as much, but if I was going to have something, I would just simply have a little bit of fruit after meals, so I wasn't having a dessert and even like yogurts or anything like that. One of the first things that I really noticed was improved mood. Now, the week previously, I'd been having a real low mood. Like there's so much going on in the world right now that feels heavy, that feels hard, and I'd been feeling challenged by it all. I had really low mood. I was just on the floor with my energy levels. And of course, this can be related to some of the mindset work that I'd been doing to help improve and work on this, but also just the lightness and the clarity that I felt within my head and within my focus. I had a super productive week. Oh my God, I got so much more done. I felt so much clearer within my goals, and there was just this lack of like fuzz that I'd been experiencing previously, especially towards the afternoon. You know, it's really common to get that mid-afternoon dip in our energy levels as our blood sugar dives back down as we're getting ready to work towards our evening meal. And I just wasn't experiencing that. I was just bouncing around constantly all of this week, and it just was such a huge shift for me. And when I dove into this, there seems to be some science to back this up. So there's studies that have shown that diets that are high in sugar are indeed linked to cognitive function and memory. And, you know, they're not quite sure like the process behind this of why it causes this, but there are some definite links that people who have less consumption of sugar tend to have better memory and mental focus. So that is a definite tick upside. The next thing I noticed, and I did touch on previously, I just had far less cravings. So we know we can get this up and down in our blood sugar levels when we're eating high sugar foods. And because when we're eating foods that are just mainly simple carbohydrates or simply simple sugars, that we get this huge spike in insulin. And actually your body doesn't get any other nutritional value from sugar apart from that little spike of energy. It's not getting any protein, it's not getting any fats, there aren't any essential vitamins or minerals in my marrows. So the body isn't actually getting anything that it needs nutritionally. And what this can do is help to increase your cravings, because your body's like, I didn't get anything from that, I still want more, give me more. And it's only wonder why when we go to the chocolate or to the sweet thing, like one is just never enough. I don't know about you, but I can never just stop at one. And part of that is because your body is physiologically craving nutrition and it's not getting that from your sweet sugar fix. So from switching some of my snacking foods, I would have something that would have more protein based, maybe some fats in there as well. I would be getting more nutritional value from the food that I was eating. And because there is more protein and fat in it, that we're not getting that steep sugar insulin spike, that there's a much more gradual release of energy and a much more gradual dip of energy onto the other side. So it massively helped with my cravings. I found in the afternoons I wasn't craving as much, especially after meals. I was just having my meal and didn't want to have anything sweet after that, which is a huge thing for me. Massively impact my overall hunger and craving levels as well, which was really interesting to see. And sugar's often, it's habitual and a psychological addiction as much as it is a physiological one. I mean, we've all heard those memes of like Oreos are addictive as crack cocaine. Like there is an addictive element to sugar, but the science that or some of the research that I read showed that it's the levels of addictiveness are closer to that of either nicotine or caffeine, and not quite crack cocaine. But there is still an element of addictiveness there, but at levels that can be overcome. And the other improvement that I noticed was actually really surprising, but made a lot of sense when I looked into it. And it was only when I was randomly looking at my sleep tracker from my watch that I saw, and I'll put the image up on the screen, that at the beginning of the week, whilst I was having longer duration of sleep, I was having more light sleep and more REM. Now, of course, we don't know exactly how accurate these sleep trackers are, but we can take this as a general guesstimate. And towards the end of the week and towards the end of removing sugar from my diet, what happened was, although I was getting less overall sleep, of that sleep, more of that was deep sleep. So I was waking up feeling better rested. My energy levels, like I said, with the mental clarity, I had more energy throughout the week. And when I started to look into this, there's actually science that backs it up. So again, we don't know the exact cause of this, but there's some studies that do show a link between high sugar diets and disturbed sleep patterns. Those who are having less sugar tend to sleep better and deeper, which when we are living in a society where people are highly stressed and sleep is such an essential element of our overall health and well-being, this was a really interesting finding, and one for me that really brought home the impact that sugar can have outside. And of course, I've given you 3 elements here. We've not even dove into the effects that it can have on our body's internal health. There are some links that are shown towards cancer, but all of these other elements just for three. So that massive increase in mental clarity, reducing cravings, and better sleep. So for me, those were three fundamental elements that helped me to feel more focused, more motivated, more clear through my week, and to get more stuff done. I'm all about promoting you feeling better in your bodies, and ultimately that is what this experiment is about. Moving on from this, what I kind of was hoping to see, because I would like to lose a little bit of weight in terms of I want to feel more energetic for the long term. I'm feeling a little bit heavier than I would like to right now, but that kind of wasn't the big focus, but I kind of still did want to see a little bit of a shift. And there wasn't a shift in terms of my physical whole body mass in terms of weight on the scales. However, this is now 2 weeks later when I'm recording this, and it has started to gradually shift into or translate into a reduction in my overall weight. But I try to keep the focus away from just the weight loss and keep that intentional focus on how my body's feeling, because ultimately that is what is important to me. So how am I going to sustain this moving forward? Because this is the other thing. We want to have this life where we can feel balance, and I don't want to live my life never ever touching sugar again. However, I did notice how much better I felt. I also noticed that there was much less bloating going on, because that is something that I had been noting previously. And again, looking into the research on that, sugar can affect the gut microbiome, that can sometimes induce bloating caused from the effect of sugar going in through the digestive system. So I definitely noticed I wasn't as bloated, so that was another really great side effect as well. So going forward, what I'm trying to do with this is to continue with this Monday to Friday, staying away from snacking on sugar. But of course, we're human beings. There are going to be times when we slip up, like today. Today is like time of the month stuff. I was lower on energy. I wanted something sweet. We have to be at that place where we're not going to beat ourselves up for having the sugar, because that's when we land into bad eating habits and behaviors. I'm taking away from this. Like, I felt amazing. I felt energized. I felt on form. I felt on fire just from reducing my sugar intake. And if I can do that on a Monday to Friday, when it's during my working week, when I want to be at my best, I want to be able to show up at my best, to do the work that I do, to create amazing content for you guys. If I can do that Monday to Friday and then be able to have a little bit of what I like on the weekends without going completely overboard, because this is the other thing. When I've said to myself, you can have what you want over the weekend, I'm like, oh, do I want to ruin this high energy vibe that I'm on right now? I'm never going to be perfect. That's not who I am. I want to live my life. I want to feel happy. I don't want to be able to eat the cake whenever I want to eat the cake. I would love to know if you would take on this challenge yourself. It's just 5 days. Start to notice your relationship that you have with sugar. How much are you consuming? How much different could you feel if you looked at reducing the amount that you have in your diet? I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. If you try it out, let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you want a little bit of support with that, why not check out my free 7-day Better Body Kickstart Challenge, completely free. We do bring a little bit of sugar into this as well, but I'm going to guide you through it step by step. I'm going to give you some more nutritional tools. I'm going to give you some cool workouts to go with it, and to get that step-by-step guide on a 7-day basis. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to put it down into the link down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that it gave you a little bit of something to think about as you go and progress on your own health and body goals and your health journey. Until next time.